I don't know how to spell biscuits, so don't judge this. How good is that? We're tearing these apart because we have absolutely no respect for them, and because they're about to become something much greater. Yeah, I heard that too. Yeah, it's a real tragedy. Oh, yep. Sweetheart, I gotta go. Someone's here. Yep. Yeah, it was great talking to you. Yeah. No, we'll talk about that soon. No, yeah, I really gotta go. Okay, talk soon. Bye. Well, fancy seeing you here. Welcome to my home. Or I guess I should say, my apartment. Now I know what you're thinking. Clark, what are you wearing? I'm going through something. And that something is 2003. Okay? Today, we're going back to a simpler time when all the Food Network shows were filmed in their homes and nobody asked any questions. I'd like to introduce you to my co-host for this episode. This is Paula. She is in charge of how much butter we are adding to these dishes. This is Sandra, and Sandra is going to teach us about how to make something semi-homemade. This is Ree. She is going to say yum-o exactly one time, and I'm going to lose my freaking mind. And this is Ina. Now that's good. And that's all I have to say about that. And our co-hosts today, they're going to be helping us out along the way as we make the biscuit breakfast bake. Now the beauty of this dish is it is semi-homemade. And this is what we're working with today. Simple ingredients to make some delicious homemade buttermilk biscuits. And this is what we're going to start with. We're also going to do pre-shredded cheese, some pre-mixed together breakfast sausage because it is a weekday and we all have things to do with our lives. You ready to start cooking? Yeah. Now I'm making homemade biscuits because I am not Sandra Lee, I am Clark, and I have standards. Do you think we need the big bowl? Let's break out the big bowl. The buttermilk biscuits I make are from the Magnolia Table cookbook, the JoJo's biscuits, and I'm going to make the full-size recipe that makes... How many does this make? A lot. That's all you need to know. Because the best part about this is once you make extra, you can put them in the freezer and they keep super well in the freezer. You literally put the dough in frozen and then you can bake them fresh whenever you want. It's so great. All right. We're going to start off 4 cups of flour. Now this recipe calls for self-rising flour, but we don't have any in the house. So we're going to take some all-purpose flour and just add a little bit of extra baking soda to it so that way we get the right consistency of our biscuits. And this recipe already calls for some baking powder and baking soda, so we're just gonna adapt. What do you think, ladies? Sandra said she's cool with that. All right. We need 2 tablespoons of baking powder, but because we needed a little extra anyways, we're going to do some heaping ones. We also need a teaspoon of baking soda. And that we're going to actually measure properly. Something I can't believe is there's no salt in this. They do use salted butter. This also says 3 sticks of butter. This is 2. I'll get more. Here's a pro tip for you. Your butter, my butter is frozen right now. Okay? Rock solid. This is going to help you so much with this process because cold butter is so important to good biscuits, good homemade biscuits. So what we're going to do, we're going to grate the butter. You can cube it up if you don't want to grate it, but I have just found this is very easy and works great. Works just like a big hunk of cheese. Paula's thrilled there's this much butter in these biscuits. Aren't you, Paula? Amen. Just a little bit of butter. Okay. Now you can mix this up. I like to go in just with my hands. I know that we're trying to keep the butter cold, and so your hands are just going to add more heat. But I really like to just get into it. We're just getting it nice and stirred up, getting the butter all out and about in these flour bits. And then we're going to add in 2 eggs, but we're going to beat them first. All right, we're going to do 2 large eggs. And it's okay if your hands get a little messy. We're living. Okay. In these go. And now we're going to use a spoon to help mix this in a little bit. Okay, we get our eggs mixed in. And now we add buttermilk in until we get to the consistency we want. Whoa. I like to shake up my buttermilk a little bit in the beginning because it can get a little chunky. And that's okay. Your buttermilk is meant to be slightly curdled. Now, this recipe does have a measurement, but I'm looking for more of a feeling rather than a exact measurement. And because we used a different type of flour, you just need to be flexible. We're getting there. Okay. This is where, if you want to get in with your hands, you go for it. We're getting a little wild and crazy here. You just get in there with your hands now. Don't even look at my nails, okay? You see how this is all coming together now? It's one big lump. It's a little crumbly. The problem is that we don't want to over mix this. So this, Mama, she's good. As long as we're in a lump, you don't want to over mix it, or Paul is coming for you. Now we're going to turn this out on the counter and get our dough rolled out. If you don't have a rolling pin, bust out the wine bottle. Do what you got to do. And we want this pretty thick. Let me grab my rolling pin from out of here. So now we got our rolling pin. You don't need to flour it or anything because we're really just getting this thin enough to where we want our biscuits to be. I'd say you're shooting for like 1 inch thick because yes, they'll puff up, but they're not going to puff up too much. And that's what you need to remember here. Okay, that looks perfect. Now, this is a classic tip for if you don't have a biscuit cutter. The classic way to cut your biscuits is to use a mason jar, and you just use the top, you flour it up a little bit, you use that, and this is the perfect biscuit size. So we're going to get out our baking sheet now. Blue and blue, so fun. We're going to line it with parchment. It's important to do parchment because you don't want to spray this and add any extra oil to your pan. Now look how perfect that is. Just the perfect size. Don't look at my nails. And then we're just going to take these, plop them on here, and we're going to do however many we think we need for the casserole. I think I'm going to do about 12. And then I'm going to show you the best part about this biscuit dough. Okay, that's good. All right, now we're going to put these into the oven, 400-degree preheated oven for, I'm going to say like 8 to 10 minutes, but we'll keep an eye on them. Now let me show you how we're going to freeze the rest. I totally lied. These bake for 15 to 20 minutes. Alexa, set a timer for 15 minutes.
15 minutes haven't started.
They didn't have Alexa in the 90s. Okay, now with the rest of our dough, we're just going to keep cutting out our biscuits. And then I am going to reshape this probably only once to make sure I can get extra ones out, because you don't want to overwork the dough. It's super important that you just get out what you need from the first roll, because biscuit dough gets super overworked, and then that's how you lose those nice flaky layers of butter that we have created all through this. So we are going to get out as many as we can here. And now with the leftover, all I'm going to do is quickly smoosh it back together without touching it too much. Give it a quick roll out. See that? We want that layer in there. Just kind of smoosh together. All right, the same thing again. After this, that's probably the last little bit we're going to get out. And then all we have to do is put these in a freezer bag. I would recommend labeling the date you made them. And they're good in the freezer, raw dough, just like this, for about 8 weeks. If you want to get them out and bake them, you bake them at the same 400 for 15 to 20 minutes. Just because they're frozen, it literally doesn't make a difference. And all this, we'll just call a loss. Gallon-sized freezer bags are your and my best friend. And my favorite part about getting the freezer ones is you can put the label on there. So I'm just going to write. I always use a paint marker instead of a Sharpie. This will stay on through thick and thin with you. But we're just going to write Buttermilk. I don't know how to spell biscuits, so don't judge this. And what's today? Now, we just pop these in here, pop them in the freezer, and you also just meal prepped. Who doesn't love that? As our biscuits keep finishing up, now we can prep the deliciousness that goes on top. So we are going to do bacon and sausage, and I'm going to do my bacon in the oven for this, so that way I don't have to deal with two things at once. And then the sausage, we're going to cook in a pan, just brown it up into little ground chunks so we can sprinkle them over the top. Now, the great thing about this recipe is that it's super customizable. You can do it however works for your family. If you only like bacon, if you only like sausage, you can do just one. You can add veg to this if you want. It's really a choose your own adventure type dish, and that's what I love about it. If your bacon gets a little wonky, remember we're just crumbling it up, so that's going to be totally fine. While the biscuits are cooking, I'm going to add this into the oven. I know you're supposed to do cold oven. In this kitchen, we live a little bit. Right, ladies? Into the oven this goes. We're going to probably do like 12 minutes. We can also check on our biscuits, which are looking so good. Do you see those layers in there? Oh my God. Okay. Things are going well, people. Now, let's brown up the sausage. I'm not going to use all of this. I'm probably going to use about half a pound of it because we're going to make probably even less than that, honestly. We're going to be making more of a family of 2 to 4 portion. But all of the adaptations and recipe notes I'm going to put on the recipe that I'll have linked in the description below. But we're just going to make all of it because that's easiest, and then we can have it for the rest of the week. Now, while this is browning, if you want to multitask, we'll wait for that to heat up a little more. You can prep your eggs. So, we have a bunch of eggs here. I think I'm going to do all 5 eggs. Yeah, let's do that one. Now, you're going to crack all your eggs in here. If you can do the little two-handed thing, good for you. I can't. Five eggs in the bowl. We're going to add a little bit of milk, probably about a half cup. We're going to do about a teaspoon of kosher salt. Also, if you use table salt and a recipe calls for kosher salt, half it. In my opinion, that's how you end up with things that are much, much too salty. We're going to do a couple cranks of some fresh cracked pepper. Fresh is best. And then we're going to come over here to the trusty dusty spice cabinet. And I think we're going to do some tried and trues here. We're going to do garlic powder, onion powder, and our breakfast sausage is going to have that like sagey deliciousness to it. So I think we're just going to stick with these two to keep it simple. Let's check on our biscuits. Now, don't those look scrumptious? My goodness. These are perfect. Now, if you want to have just buttermilk biscuits and impress your guests, you can egg wash these, and these would have turned beautiful, shiny, golden brown. We're not wasting our time because we're going to put these into a casserole. Let's check on our sausage real quick. All right, we're gonna let that keep browning. Let's finish up our eggs. I've been trying to get better at measuring for you all. So I'm gonna get out my teaspoon and see how much this is. Yeah, teaspoon of garlic powder, probably a half teaspoon of onion powder. Yeah, that's good. And then we're just going to use a whisk to get everything nice and incorporated. You want everything nice and broken up so that way you don't get any egg chunks in this. We're going to kind of pour this over the biscuits and the cheese, and we want it to all become one cohesive, emulsified deliciousness in our casserole. Now all we have left to do is assemble once all of our bits and bobs are finished up. We're finally at that point where we're going to start actually prepping the casserole. Now, this is the size I'm going to recommend for today. This is great for like a 4-serving dish. Depending on your family, if you double this, it'll fit in a standard size casserole dish. But the recipe is going to be for this size. Now, the way we're going to start this is by spraying it. If you want, you can take those butter wrappers that we had in the beginning, and you can use those to wipe this down. If you're like me and accidentally threw them away, we are just going to spray this. The base is going to be our biscuits. Now, we're not putting these in whole. We're tearing these apart because we have absolutely no respect for them, and because they're about to become something much greater. We're just going to do big chunks, okay? If you took a bite out of one like this, you can throw that in there too. And don't be shy with the biscuits. These are our base, so you want it to be nice and thick, tall, take up a lot of space. You made 12 biscuits for a reason, in case you ate 2 of them. Wow, that's looking actually perfect. Did I tell you 10 biscuits or what? There's 2 left. You saw that. And just like that, our bacon's done. You see that? Now, it might not look fully crispy, but that's just oven bacon. You'll trust the process, I promise. We're going to let that cool for just a moment while we keep zhuzhing our casserole. You can use a slotted spoon as well as if you have something like this. We just don't want all that extra grease in there. If you do, more power to your diabetes. That's not my prerogative, that's yours. We're going to do, like I said, about half a pound of sausage on top. Toppings mean flavor, so be generous with the toppings. That is where the goods come from. I'm going to put these on a paper towel. Soak up any little extra grease that we could have going on here. Should you probably pick this up with tongs? Yeah. You all say I shouldn't be cooking with fake nails on. Look at me now. Can you hear this? Probably not. It is very crispy, crunchy. I might just chop this with my knife real quick. Oh yeah, do you see those bits of porky goodness? We're gonna put this all on top here. Oh man. That is it. That is it, mama. If you have one of them generic husbands who likes meat, oh, he's gonna eat this up. Now once we're here, we're gonna do the eggs. We want the eggs to go right on top, and we want them to kind of be used to bring all of this together. So make sure you're spreading it out evenly so that those biscuits can really soak it in. And now we're going to use the cheese on top to kind of lock it all in. So for mine, I got 2 types of cheese, and I bought pre-shredded cheese. Also, while I'm here, I'm going to lower the oven to 375 because 400 might cook this a little too quickly. Now to top mine, I got Gruyere and mild cheddar. Sharp cheddar would be good with this too, but I just didn't want it to be too overwhelming, and I really like the taste of Gruyere cheese. This is where Paula looks at us from afar and guides our hand, telling us that we can add even more cheese to this. I feel her judgment inside. How good is that? Into the oven. For how long? I don't know yet. I'll let you know. If this were actually a 2000s cooking show, when I put these things in the oven, we would immediately clip to them being completed and baked. So just stare into the camera for about 8 seconds and we can make direct eye contact, and then we'll get the things out of the oven, okay? Oh my God. Look at that. Look at that. Paula, are you seeing this? Are you seeing this? Wow. Talk about gorgeous. Okay. Let's put her down. You see, we can tell it's done because our eggs are not moving around. Do you think spatula or spoon? You know what? I'm going to get a spatula. Because if you all were my guests in this home, I would want to cut it nice in little squares for you. As much as you can get a square. Alrighty. Let's see what this looks like. This cheese pool, I can already tell, gonna be insane. Alright. You ready? Oh yeah. It smells garlicky, cheesy. Wow. Now, this may look like a heap and pile, but it's a heap and pile of deliciousness. And something that would be really fun and wacky for you to do if you're like me and love a little savory and sweet moment, put maple syrup on it. But let's give this a try. This screams Sunday morning. It screams brunch. It screams 2003. And that's what I needed today. That's what we all needed today. And it is delicious. This has been episode 1 of your new favorite 2000s cooking show, where we are reminded by all these beautiful women who came before us about how cooking is easy, glamorous, and every dish requires exactly 1 stick of butter. And if you'd like to see more episodes, make sure to like this video and click subscribe. And as always, thank you so much for joining me at the table. You are always welcome here. And I will see you at the table again soon. Bye!